Ladies and gentlemen, as we begin our services, we ask that you kindly turn off all cell phones or electronic devices or place them on silent. Thank you.
Kirachem av abanim, richam Adonai yireyav. We learn in the book of Psalms. As a father has compassion for his children, so may Adonai our God have compassion for Alicia and Jerry, for Brooke and Vitaly, for Julie, Samantha, Matthew, and Rose, for Rona, for Sheila, and for all the family and friends of Aaron Newman who come together to remember him this day. God knows how we are fashioned. God remembers that we are dust. Our days are like grass. We flourish as the flowers in the field. A wind passes over us, and we are no more. But we trust that God's compassion is everlasting. God's kindness to children's children endures age after age, unchanging. We begin our service by reciting Psalms, thus linking Aaron's life to our Jewish tradition, to the Jewish people, and to the eternity of God. Shir lamalot, esayin el harim, me'ayin yavo Ezri. Ezri mim Adonai, oseh shamayim ba'aretz. Hayitein lamot raglecha yanum shomrecha. Hinei lo yanum velo yishan shomer Yisrael. Adonai shomrecha, Adonai silcha yad yaminecha. Yomam hashemesh lo yakeka ve'areach ba'layla. Adonai yishmorcha mikora yishmor et nafshecha. Adonai yishmor tzedcha voecha me'ata ve'ad olam. I lift my eyes to the mountains, from where will my help come? This is a question the psalmist asked thousands of years ago, perhaps at a time of sorrow like this one. And here was his answer. My help comes from Adonai, maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way if your guardian will not slumber. The guardian of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. Adonai is your protection, a guardian at your right hand. By day the sun will not strike you, nor the moon by night. Adonai will guard you from harm and guard your soul. For Adonai guards your going out and coming in, now and forever. Mizmor LeDavid, Adonai roi lo echsar. Bino deshe yarbit seni ame menuchot yinahaleni. Nafshi eshovev yanchenu b'maglei tzedek leman shemo. Gam ki elech begeisal mavet lo ira ra ki ata imadi. Shivtecha mishantecha hemenachamuni. Taroch lefanai shocha neged sorarai. Dishanta v'Hashem en roshi kosi revaya. Ach tov v'chesed yudufuni kol yemei chayai. V'shavti b'veit Adonai leorech yamim. Those were the Hebrew words of Psalm 23, also known as the Shepherd's Psalm, a psalm that guides us through difficult moments like this one. I invite you, if you'd like, to join me as we recite it in English. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. In synagogue on Shabbat, we're currently reading from the book of Bereshit, the book of Genesis, the very first book of the Torah. And it's in that book that we learn that when a loved one passes away, it is members of the family who come forward to share stories and memories to help bring each other comfort. And as that ancient tradition will continue here today, as first we'll hear from Aaron's daughters, first Alicia and then Brooke. Then we'll call up his grandchildren, Julie and Samantha and Matthew and Rose, as Julie will represent them all in sharing memories about her grandpa. Alicia.
I'm Alicia Aaron's oldest daughter, the police, because I always made him do the right thing. Our dad had Brooke, his second daughter, and two son-in-laws who he loved greatly, Jerry and Vitali, and a sister, Sheila and Bob, and Rose and Matthew, and his former wife, Rona Newman. Oh my God. Two grandbunnies and four grandchildren who were his world, Julie, Matthew, Rose, and Samantha. My dad and I have been so close from the day I was born. We just clicked and understood each other. Our dad was unique and beat to his own drum. He went on a cruise that had known pirates, and you couldn't come on deck during certain hours because of them. I was terrified of this cruise. Dad thought it was an adventure. When I taught we needed an Easter bunny, who do you think dressed up? Our dad. And we always called our dad the Wandering Jew because he would just wander around all the time. As I think back to our dad's life, I think fondly that our dad loved us unconditionally. After our dad had his stroke, we learned so much about him. We've always known that he has helped us and been there for us at all times. We didn't realize that others felt the same way. So many people have reached out to him and us. We've always known that our dad was a mensch, a class act. But what we didn't know was that his friends and family felt so loved and cared by him. His friends shared the following stories. His friend broke her arm, and our dad took the train to her, drove her car home that same day. Loves you. He helped his friend buy her house, and another one he managed her condo because she lived overseas. He spent hours on the phone with his friends and family. Most importantly, my dad babysat for our two daughters a lot. We never paid for a babysitter, if that gives you any idea. My dad grew into this role. When Samantha was born, I gave my dad a trial run for babysitting. One day I told him to wait in the car with Julie while I took Samantha into the pediatrician. I told him to wait in the car and I'll go inside. My phone rang when I was in there, but I was in with the doctor, so I couldn't answer it. And I came out of the appointment and found him and Julie in the waiting room. And I said, "Why are you here?" He said, "Julie had to go poop, so I took her to the bathroom and cleaned her and changed her." And of course, she was walking around with a piece of bread. And anybody who knows me, I'm a germaphobe, and so she was touching everything. From that point on, he was hired. My daughters and I have Ehlers-Danlos, everybody knows that, which required my kids to go to lots of doctors and physical therapy. Our dad came sometimes 3 to 4 times a week to babysit. Our girls wouldn't be doing as well as they are if it wasn't for him. I will always be grateful for that gift he gave us and what it gave him. He also babysat so Jerry and I could go out to dinner. He gave us local flavor coupons. He'd only babysit as long as it wasn't a Friday or Saturday night. Those were the teenage nights. Our dad went to all of the grandkids' shows and sporting events and concerts. He always showed up for his grandkids. Daddy loved all of you, his friends and family. His time in his Sammy, when he was in Penn State, he was in the Sammy fraternity, and he loved all that too. Traveling, the shore, his place in Ventnor, and going to Ocean City. Being outside in nature and coupons, and getting a good deal. And West Virginia. Thank you to everyone who came out today to support us, to show us the love, and those on the live stream also. I'm going to conclude with the following thoughts. It sounds like we've learned a lot from our dad. He was a kind, giving person. I hope we can all learn from him and aspire to be like him. And I'll leave you with this. Enjoy the little things in life, because one day you'll look back and realize they were the big things. I love you, Daddy.
Thank you, Alicia. Brooke?
Hi, everyone. I'm Brooke, Aaron's youngest daughter. I want to begin by thanking you all for coming and to commemorate my dad's beautiful life. Although this is going to be very hard, I'd like to take this time to recount and honor the special memories I have of my dad. Some of the fondest recollections of him are sharing his stories when he was young, growing up in Philadelphia, being a fraternity in Penn State, and being a cook in the Army. It always struck me as humorous that my free-hugging hippie father was so fond of his time in the service. But it wasn't his time he remembered with goodwill. It was the people, especially Sergeant Maldonado. My father loved so many things, from walking on the boardwalk down the shore to living in West Virginia with chickens and goats. He was enamored with nature. He loved watching lightning storms, sitting on the rooftop to watch planes, and gazing out on his balcony to watch the sunset, although he was probably checking out the ladies walking by, too. He loved taking cruises and found ultimate enjoyment in finding the best deals for them. The man loved a coupon almost as much as he loved a good trip. Lastly, it would be remiss if I didn't also mention my dad's great love for his hair. But of course, what my father loved most were his friends and family, which he truly saw as one and the same. He was a great friend to many, including Janet, who he one time took the train to after he hurt her arm, and then drove her and her car back home. Through his commitment to my sister Alicia and me, he remained dedicated to my mom Rona too. Their relationship wasn't always a smooth one, but even in these last few weeks, their mutual love for our family shone brightly and beautifully. My dad always says that Alicia and I were the true loves of his life. I remember being quite young and having him take us to the Echelon Mall on the weekend to buy pound puppies. Always my dad showed his love by bringing us food. When we were having our kitchen redone, he would bring over a food trough, a 19 by 13 pan absolutely filled with food to ensure that we always had enough to eat. In addition to my sister and me, my dad was an incredibly devoted grandfather to Julie, Matthew, Rose, and Sammy. He loved babysitting, going to their soccer games, seeing their dance recitals, and simply being grandpa. My dad had many sayings, expressions, and isms, quite a few of which this decorum prevents me from relaying here. Some of his favorites that I can share are the 5 Ps. Proper planning prevents poor performance. Rejection is God's protection was another regularly heard phrase. He would always say, sometimes you eat the bear, and sometimes the bear eats you. Another thing he said that was everything was Legos, which was an inside joke between me, my dad, and Alicia. It meant something was a waste of money that wouldn't actually play with. However, Legos are something that seems especially befitting today, and for my dad's life in general. We add, build, crash, repair, and continue. I don't know quite how to put the Legos of my life back together without him here. But I know that my dad's eternal guidance, words of wisdom, and love will see us all through. I love you, Dad.
Thank you, Brooke. Now we'll call up Julie and Matthew and Rose and Samantha, as Julie will share some words on their behalf about their grandpa.
Hi, I'm Julie Lerman, Grandpa's oldest grandchild, formerly known as Big Girl. Grandpa was always someone who could make you laugh. It wasn't even on purpose. It was just his personality. He would bring just a pan of food still in the pan. He would babysit us, come to our games, activities, and shows and concerts. We would go on walks together. Grandpa would do just push-ups randomly. He'd give us the most random gifts, and it would make us laugh. Once, he gave me a bag of half-eaten pretzels. He brought us to West Virginia and always took care of us. Here's a poem Sam made. We love him so much with all of our hearts. He made us so happy. He's cheerful and funny. We remember the monkey in the middle adventures I had with Grandpop in the pool. Grandpop was the Olympian champion in Monkey in the Middle and also cheated to keep his title. We had so many times playing Monkey in the Middle, and Grandpa leaves as the champion of Monkey in the Middle. One time, Samantha and Rose went to visit Grandpa's house. We watched shows together, and Rose gave him a rainbow bunny. The bunny is at the Ironbinder's house now. Grandpa will always be a fun person to talk to. One time, when we were at his pool, we were asking for ice cream. Our parents always said no, but Grandpa always said yes. While we were playing in the pool one time, he randomly just left. He came back 10 minutes later with a bag of Doritos and trail mix that he bought at Walgreens. He would always be on our side no matter what. He really valued family. In general, a lot of people loved him, and he was just a happy person to be around. We love you, Grandpa.
Thank you, Alicia and Brooke and Julie, for sharing those wonderful memories about your father and your grandpop, Aaron. We know that today is the 4th day of Hanukkah. And at this darkest time of the year, we mark Chag Urim, the Festival of Lights. And we do this by dispelling the darkness by lighting the Hanukkah menorah each night. And I think there's a lesson in this practice as we gather here together today to remember Aaron. We know this is a dark moment. We are all saddened by Aaron's passing. And yet, as we heard, and as you all know, your memories of Aaron, illuminate his life, and in turn illuminate all of our lives as well. Aaron grew up in Mount Airy with his parents Pearl and Joseph and his sister Sheila. His family owned the Rose Twig Camp, and they and their cousins spent much wonderful time up there together. Now, when we met yesterday and I asked about things Aaron liked to do when he was growing up, Brooke, you answered with one word. You said he liked to misbehave. Aaron wasn't one who easily conformed, but as we heard from Alicia, he went on to graduate from Germantown High School, Penn State, where he majored in business and was active in the Sami fraternity, and spent 2 years in the Army as a cook. Aaron was off to a bright future. But at heart, as we know, Aaron was a hippie. And it was probably the sight of him that caused him to notice a flyer that said, "Land for sale in West Virginia." Perhaps you said it was that John Denver song, Country Roads, that drew him to it. But at any rate, he ripped off a piece of paper from the flyer with the information, and he bought the land. One parcel with friends and one for himself. He lived there with friends and with Rona after they were married. And they lived there for about 5 years until Rona became pregnant with Alicia, and then they decided to leave the farm and ultimately settle in New Jersey. And it was here, as we heard from Alicia and Brooke, that they began creating many wonderful memories together as a family. There are so many ways in which he illuminated your lives. There were the trips to the airports to watch the planes take off, the Phillies games on Sunday where kids under 10 got in for free, time at the shore, dinner at Ground Round where kids also ate for free. As you said, he loved coupons and deals. He was prolific at that, and he always loved those entertainment coupon books and was very good at collecting miles and getting free trips as well. Aaron did love to travel. He took many cruises and visited almost every continent. And just as important as the trips were the friends that he traveled with. Aaron had many friends that he collected over the years through acts of kindness he did for them, and also through J-Date. He had a way of bringing people together and making them feel comfortable. Aaron knew how to bring light to other people's lives. But of course, he did this most for his family. And Jerry, you shared a hilarious memory yesterday about a tubing trip on the Delaware. You and Alicia were dating at the time, and as you got into your rafts, Aaron entrusted you with his car keys, since your bathing suit was the only one with a secure pocket. Still, every few minutes, Aaron would ask, "Do you still have the keys?" And you said, yes, you still have the keys. And then your kayak tipped over, and you had trouble getting back in. And as you were struggling in the water, all you could hear was Aaron yelling, "Do you still have the keys? Do you still have the keys?" Thankfully, Vitaly came to help you get back into the boat, and you still had the key. I'm not sure who was more relieved, you or Aaron, but it certainly wasn't Vitaly who got sick from the water on that trip. But that's a story for another time. Vitaly had many wonderful memories about and stories about Aaron. You recalled the first time you met him when he was mowing the lawn in his Congo t-shirt, and you talked about how Aaron brought so much light into your life and into the grandchildren's lives. And we heard this from Julie and saw this as they all stood together up here a few moments ago, sharing beautiful memories about trips to the pool, playing monkey in the middle, and taking walks together. Julie, yesterday you also added how you like to walk to Walgreens together, and on the way there is a tree that had a branch that he liked to do pull-ups on and became known as the pull-up tree, until one day you walked by and that branch had been cut off mysteriously. Perhaps someone wasn't a fan of his pull-ups on that tree, it's not sure. But we know that Aaron and all that he did for his grandchildren certainly helped illuminate your lives. Professionally, Aaron was a salesman. He sold toys and later eyeglasses, but we know his work was always secondary to his loves, his family, his friends, and of course, his farm. Aaron kept that farm in West Virginia, and finally in 2017, the whole family came to visit. It was a big farm, about 50 acres with goats and chickens, though it lacked many of the modern conveniences that you were all used to. It was also very hard to find, but thankfully Aaron was excellent at giving directions, and he meticulously described how you could get there. The visit itself was an experience, though a wonderful one, but the next time you came, you decided to stay at a nearby hotel instead of dealing with the limited water, outdoor plumbing, and other rustic features. But it was still an enlightening and a beautiful trip. It allowed Aaron to share with his family a place that he loved, and they appreciated being a part of it. And when I asked about lessons that Aaron leaves you with, Brooke, you began by saying that your dad taught you how to stop and take a minute to enjoy all of the small, beautiful things around you. And Alicia, you added that your dad taught you to spend wisely, but also the importance of family. He came to all of the kids' events, babysat, and was a real part of their lives and a wonderful support for all of you. That is truly a blessing. This leads to Jerry's lesson that Aaron taught him, which is how to live unselfishly. He helped out as best as he could. And Vitaly, you added that Aaron always lived for today with no regrets. And Julie, you said that your grandpop had many wise sayings that you always remember, like that one that your Aunt Brooke mentioned, rejection is God's protection. All of these lessons, and many others, will certainly continue to illuminate your lives. Like the shamash, the Hanukkah candle that lights the others, Aaron used his flame throughout his life to nurture the light in other people. And all of this reminds me of a poem that was written about the Hanukkah candles, but I think it also applies to how Aaron lived his life. Listen. A candle is a small thing, but one candle can light another, and see how its own light increases as a candle gives its flame to the other. Light is the power to dispel darkness. You have this power to move back the darkness in yourself and in others, to do so with the birth of light, created when one mind illuminates another, when one heart kindles another, when one person strengthens another, and its flame enlarges within you as you then pass it on. At home, later tonight, we'll kindle the Hanukkah candles once again. And later today, in Aaron's memory, you will kindle the memorial candle for him. Like the lights of Hanukkah, All of this will add to the brightness of your memories. A candle goes out, but the light of memory remains, bringing warmth and blessing and illuminating all the days to come. And so will it be with the memory of Aaron Newman. We rise for a final prayer. El Mali Rachamim Shochein Bamromim Hamsei Menucha Nechona Tachat Kanfei Hashchina B'malot Kedoshim Utorim Kizohar Akiem Asirim Et Nishmat Aharon Ben Yosef Uperol Shalach Lo Lamo B'Gan Eden Te Menuchato Ana Baal Harachamim Hasti Rehu Beser Kenefech Lolamim Utzwar Bitzra Chaim Nishmato Adonai Nachlato V'Yanuach B'Shalom Mishkavo V'Nomar Amen. Exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and the pure to the soul of Aaron Newman who has gone to his eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that our loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May his soul be bound up in the bond of life. May he rest in peace, and let us say, Amen. I ask you to please join me now in the words of Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divra kirute ve'amlich malchute, B'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye dechol Beit Yisrael ba'agala uvizman kari v'imru Amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevorach leolam omeo maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudsha brichu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma v'imru, Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. May the one who brings peace to the heavens bring peace to all of us here on earth, and we all say, Amen. You may be seated. After we conclude our service, friends and family are invited for lunch and to share stories and memories about Aaron at the Oriental Pearl Restaurant in Haddonfield. There are directions that you can pick up on the way out. Tonight, there will be a Shiva Minyan at Temple Beth Shalom, 1901 Crescent Road in Cherry Hill at 8 p.m. in the Rose Chapel, Janofsky Beit Midrash. That minyan will also be accessible via Zoom. You can find that link at the TBS website, tbsonline.org. A season is set for everything, a time for every experience under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time for planting and a time for uprooting, a time for hurting and a time for healing, a time for tearing down and a time for building up. Ei livkod vei lishchod, ei tzefod vei rekod, ei lashlich havanim vei knos havanim, ei lechavok vei lerchok mechabei. A time for weeping and a time for laughing, a time for crying and a time for dancing, a time for throwing stones and a time for gathering, a time for embracing and a time for refraining. Ei levakesh vei labed, ei lishmor vei lashlich, ei likra vei likor, ei lechashot vei ledaber. A time for seeking and a time for losing, keeping and time for letting go.